Looking back, the events of that night play out clearly in my mind. I never intended to do the things I did. I was driven there by a force, a sort of guilt, a desire, a fever. A fever that developed after many years too close to the flame, an itch that began to gnaw at the back of my mind, calling to me, begging me to just look beyond the cover. So I did. Then the fever, the itch, it grew. It grew to a height I could not fathom or expect. I simply wanted freedom. I didn't know it that night, but I was not the only one infected by the fever. I witnessed it, a fever that grew to such a height it drove a man to desperation. He fought the fever and it destroyed him. More like I destroyed him.
Welcome back, Montauk. I see your sickness is gone and your fever is over. Sit for a game of poker. Well, the crisis is past and all is well. The sheep returns to the fold. We've all sheep who have strayed at times. Truth is truth to the end of reckoning. We've cried. They're never alone that are accompanied with noble thoughts. We've shouted to ourselves. Words are like leaves and we're the most abound. Much fruit of sense beneath is rarely found. Alexander Pope. What do you think of that, Montauk?
I don't know.
I'll tell you, that made you feel for a little while drunkard. Read a few lines and off you go. Over the cliff, bang! You're ready to blow up the world, chop off heads, knock down women and children, destroy authority. I know I've been through it all.
I'm alright, really.
Stop blushing. I'm not needling you. Really, I'm not. I'll have you know I had a dream an hour ago. I lay down for a nap, and in that dream, you and I, Montauk, we got into a furious debate on books. You towered with rage, yelled quotes at me. I calmly parried every thrust. Power, I said, and you, quoting Dr. Johnson, said, knowledge is more than equivalent to force. And I said, well, Dr. Johnson also said, dear boy, that he is no wise man that will quit certainty for uncertainty. Stick with the fireman, Montauk. Everything else is dreary chaos.
Careful, I thought to myself in that moment. He's trying to confuse you.
And you scream, carcasses bleed at the sight of the murderer. And I said, patting your hand, what? Do I give you trench mouth? And you shriek, knowledge is power, and a dwarf on a giant's shoulder can see the furthest of the two. And I summed up.
I felt beaten, enraged. I wanted to shout, no, shut up, you're confusing things, stop it. But I didn't. Instead, I sat there, silently giving in as a slow-burning hatred for the man grew in my chest.
God, what a pulse I've given you. I've got you going, haven't I, Montauk? Jesus, God, it's like the day after the war. Everything but sirens and bells. Shall I talk some more? Oh, you were scared silly imagery. If I was doing a terrible thing and using the very books you clung to rebuke you on every hand, on every point, what traitors books can be. You think they're backing you up and then they turn on you. Others can use them too, and there you are, lost in the middle of the moor, in a great welter of nouns, verbs, and adjectives. And at the very end of my dream, along I came with the salad napkins, going my way. And you got it, and we drove back to the firehouse in terrific silence. All dwindled away to peace. All's well that ends well.
My actions that night following our departure from the firehouse are not ones I would say I am proud of, despite my realization that Beatty wanted to die. He succumbed to the fire, and in his last act of cruelty, he used me to do it. But out of the ashes, I rose and was made stronger by my fever for knowledge.